Man, oh man, do I know myself. If you're coming back from part one, then you probably have question marks. What's gonna happen? What's going on? If you're tuning into this episode first, go listen to part one. But for those of you who are waiting with bated breath, I never thought I was going to have to say this, and I never thought that I was going to have to announce this. But Mr. Wright and I broke up. Part one was recorded on September 23rd, 2025. And today, for me, it's November 7th, 2025. So not that much later. I just want to be clear before I start that this is not going to be a breakup story. I'm hopefully not going to sit here and sob and bash and bitch. But instead, I want to share with you guys what I've been going through for the past 2 months, how we got to where we are, and how I'm getting through it and where I'm going next. Because when I did part one, I was at a moment in my life where I was like, I don't know what's going to happen next. I hoped for the best, but I kind of expected the worst. And I knew that when I came to you guys with a conclusion of what happened and, if it was an engagement or a breakup, I wanted it to stem from some place that you guys could understand. And not that I owe it to anyone to not blindside you. Like, this is my relationship, but I don't know. I just feel like an obligation to you guys as like my family and my community to like bring you along with me as I'm doing this, because I know so many other people are as well. And I've obviously been here before. I'm no stranger to a breakup, but this one was very unique. So let me tell you what happened. Since I filmed part one on September 23rd, the relationship unraveled, like I predicted. Right after I recorded part one to this, my first instinct was to run. It was to self-sabotage. And I had told Mr. Wright that I had no more confidence in our relationship because I've been here before, because of my past, because of every relationship I've ever had. When shit like this happened, I knew that it was the beginning of the end. And I said those words to him. I was like, I feel like this is the beginning of the end. But given what we have been through for the last 2 years and given how amazing he has been to me, I thought our relationship deserved a chance. And I thought we should fight for this. Now, I really don't want to get into the specifics of what exactly happened. A, because it will literally take me an hour and a half. And B, I want to respect his privacy as best I can. But essentially, I was right. Both of our perceptions of the relationship changed. And when that happened, so much more came to light of not necessarily what was wrong, but we realized that we both wanted different things. And we had a lot of really tough conversations. What we boiled it down to was that when we were in our bubble, when we were home, when we were together, we were on vacation, it was just the two of us, everything was perfect. We were perfect partners to each other and we had a wonderful life. But once we stepped outside of that bubble and the outside world came into play on both sides, it just did not make as much sense as it did 2 years ago. We grew apart. And this wasn't something I saw coming, obviously, because I was trying on engagement rings. The day of part one, when I recorded that, I was literally trying on an engagement ring, and then I came and recorded part one. And to have this all just on a dime switch still feels surreal that I'm even like saying these words. And it's unfortunate that part of the reason, one of the many reasons, I feel like there was like 4 or 5, that we broke up was because of misaligned futures. Because I feel that I have been so authentically myself. I know I've been so authentically myself for the last 2 years. And I've been so clear and upfront about what I wanted in life and what I wanted from myself and where I was going. I always said to him, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when type of thing for my success. And I think for a long time, he was suppressing what he really wanted for himself or what he pictured for his life because of how much he cared for me and how much he loved me. And it's like he wanted both. But when it came to him holding a ring in his hand, he realized he wanted something very different. And when he told me about it, I realized so do I. The last 2 months have felt like a merry-go-round. Whiplash is more like it. We went back and forth about this so many times, mutually. One day it was him, one day it was me. I tried to break up with him twice, and each one ended in us saying that we were going to fight for this. But ultimately, I had some non-negotiables that we just both knew were never going to be met. And he had an idea of his life that didn't align with mine, and neither of us, it's not even that neither of us are willing to budge, but we just knew this isn't it anymore. I think by the end, we both realized that we were fighting to hold on to something that was good at a certain point in time. But that was gone. Fuck. And not for lack of trying, not because we both stopped putting in effort or anything like that. It was quite literally because we grew apart. We were growing in opposite directions. And that is such a hard fucking pill to swallow when you think someone And that is such a hard pill to swallow when you think that someone is the love of your life and you're trying on engagement rings and you're planning your future. And then you realize that, fuck, you're just not right for each other anymore. My God, we're like 5 minutes into the episode. But as we were going back and forth these last 2 months, I knew in my heart that we were just delaying the inevitable. And I think that him and I both dodged a very slow moving bullet. So that's all I'm really going to say as far as the why. Because it's really fresh. There's so many nuances to it. There's so many things that happened and pain that I could explain and rehash and tell you guys, but I don't think that's going to do any good for either of us. I don't want to do that to him also. It's probably hard enough as it is that his ex-girlfriend is now announcing to the world that we have a breakup. So I beg of all of you, do not hound him. Do not say anything to him, please. I don't think he deserves that. But how am I feeling? It fucking sucks. It really sucks. When this was all starting, I had such insane cognitive dissonance. And I know that's something that I have brought up to you guys a lot before, you know, cognitive dissonance. Like, I had never really experienced it like this. But my reality just suddenly did not match what I believed was true. What I believed was true was that he was the love of my life. He was exactly who I needed, exactly who I should be with, and that we were going to get married and we were going to have kids. That's what I believed. And all of a sudden, rug was pulled out from under me, and I was reeling, just reeling for 2 months. Just like, how the fuck did we get here? How? I literally had to cancel engagement ring appointments. I had to like unsubscribe to some emails because they're keeping like, are you coming in, back in? And I'm like, please leave me alone. But it was like this state of shock and this state of just straight up confusion and like, what is going on? And on top of that, I was trying to fight for it still. We started going through this that September 23rd week. And I released a different episode, I think quite literally the next day, like September 24th, if I remember correctly. And at the beginning of that episode, I said, you know, we're going out to our 2-year dinner tonight. And there's like a 15% chance he could propose to me. I don't know, maybe. And that is the day that this all started. That's September 18th. So on September 24th, I knew it was doomed. And I thought about editing out that part because I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a reality. I don't know if we are going to get engaged. Like, should I say this? And then I thought, how real that we all sit there and think and know with our heart that something is true and something is going to happen, and then it just doesn't. Someone's mind changes. Your life just completely shifts course at the drop of a hat. So I didn't take it out because I this is so fucking real. Like, you guys are going through this with me in real time. And it's like, it's crazy. But I think the hardest thing that him and I both were going through over the last 2 months was this sunk cost fallacy. It was extremely difficult to not sit there and swallow this for another 6 months, year, because of how much we had built together, because of our home, because of our life, because of our friends, because we have a wedding we're supposed to go to next weekend in Mexico, because of all of these things. And I don't know, I was trying to practice what I preach. Ultimately, what I knew was true and what words of mine were ringing in my own head was that people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And our season had ended. It's like when I look at these 2 years that we had together, he was this stable rock. He was my safe place. He was my security. And the last 2 years were really fucking hard for me. When him and I met, I was on Unhinged. I was in a very toxic business partnership. Would I have had the courage to leave that business relationship had I not had such a stable partner at home, such a home base, someone who was going to help keep the chaos and the noise out? I don't know. Would I have had the courage to start too much, hire a lawyer, go after my ex-co-host, all the while doing my business and trying to be myself if I didn't have someone who was making me feel so secure in myself? I don't know. So that was our season. And I think, I did the same for him. Like, he started a new job, was going through a lot of life transitions too, lost someone in his family. And like, I was there for him. And I think we truly needed each other. And it was right when it was right until it was wrong. This breakup was, for all intents and purposes, mutual. His feelings were definitely the catalyst, but it opened my eyes to so much more. It opened his eyes to so much more. And ultimately, I chose myself. But I think I also helped him choose himself. And I know I have a lot of clarity as I sit here and speak to you guys right now, but there was a lot going on in my brain when this was all happening. I talked about it in part 1 of just how I started to question my worth when he first brought up that he wasn't sure if he was ready. So I started questioning everything. I hold men to a really, really high standard, and I know that I can be too much sometime. So this did make me question if I pushed him. But you know what? If I did, that is okay. If I did end up being too much, that is okay. Being authentically yourself filters out the people who cannot or do not want to fuck with you. So why would you fuck with them? And that's a little callous given this situation, but it's true. And I think I sit here and I have this attitude, despite the few tears in the beginning, because I have already been processing this for 2 months, clearly, given that I made a part 1 on September 23rd. I think when you are so sure of yourself, as I am, and you're faced with someone who suddenly is unsure of you, even if it's the love of your life, the answer becomes very, very clear. I knew it in my gut. I knew it in my heart that anyone who would return an engagement ring, tell me they're unsure of me at any point in time, or would not just wholeheartedly choose me, they're not the one for me. And I don't blame him for any of that. Like, you don't have to choose me. You don't have to want to keep, like, that is so fine. He's also entitled to choose himself. But I knew it because I know myself and I'm sure of myself. So he can be unsure, but I am sure. And I know what I want. The second this started to happen back in September, I went into survival mode. I immediately started planning in my head where I was going to live. How is this going to affect my career? How am I going to rebrand him from Mr. Right? What am I going to do next? What is he going to keep in the apartment and what am I going to keep? Had we gone through with it in the beginning when I thought we were, that would have been very helpful. However, we did not. We kept fighting for it and we stayed together for another month and a half. And that was all extremely difficult to unthink and unlearn and unknow. That neural pathway was formed. And I think you guys know me well enough now to know that once I've decided something, even subconsciously, the decision has been made. There's no going back. But I gave it my all. I really fucking tried. And I think that is all anyone can ask for. That's all I can ask for of myself. I know in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years down the road, I will not sit here and say, what if I gave it a shot? I gave it a shot. And so did he. We both fought for this. It just didn't work. So I've kind of just been numb. I've been on autopilot, survival mode. My fight or flight has kicked in and I am fighting for my life these past 2 months to try to keep going, also grapple with my internal debate, whatever. I haven't slept in months. Like I have freaking bags under my eyes. But at this point, I think to me, I'm just like, it is what it is. There is no love lost. And I regret absolutely nothing. Do I feel like an idiot for believing and thinking with every bone in my body and telling the world that I was going to marry him? Kinda. But I'm not. And I know that. We came together at a time when we needed each other. He was so good to me every single day. And that I will miss. But the dynamic that we had together was right for the both of us in that time. And that time expired. I'm not even who I was when I met him anymore. Like I said, when I met him on Unhinged, didn't have my own podcast. I was miserable at that time, but I built up the courage to leave and start my own podcast. And since then, I have grown exponentially. And sometimes we outgrow the environment that we're in and we become incompatible. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's a matter of acceptance and understanding and being able to articulate that. So he is still Mr. Right, but just for someone else, not me anymore. Maybe we'll start calling him Mr. Then. Because I'm never fucking calling someone Mr. Right again. And if any of you ever meet him, please just know you're very lucky. He is an exceptional human, and you have my blessing. Now, I don't want anyone to sit here and be like, oh my God, she was so happy, they were so great, there's no hope. That's not the case. He can be great. Our relationship can have been so fucking beautiful, and it can still end. Those things are not mutually exclusive. And I do not regret a single day that I spent with him. Our time was up. And I'm not just sitting here saying this in a moment of clarity. I actually said this to him the night that we officially ended it. Because like I said, there was a lot of back and forth. Ultimately, he was the one who said that I was right. Like I was right. And he couldn't do it anymore. And I just looked at him and I was like, okay, this is the right decision. We cannot be this unsure of each other. Not at this point in our lives. And I told him, people come into life for a reason or a season. I fucking used that cheesy line on him to comfort the man that was breaking up with me. Or we were breaking up, whatever. Who cares? And it's really easy to fall into this whole, this is not where I thought I would be at 31. Now I have to start over. Because you know what? This is not where I thought I would be at 21. Oh, fuck, I wish I was 21. Let's go back to that. Anyways, this is not where I thought I was going to be at 31. This is so much better. And I'm not starting over. I'm still going. There is no reset button being hit here. Saying I have to start over would mean that I self-abandoned. And I can confidently say that I did no such thing. Because my world is not shattered. I do not feel like I need to go have a glow up, like I need to go get hotter, like I need to go rekindle ignored friendships. I stayed so true to myself, and I did not sacrifice 1 ounce of who I am in that relationship. So it does not feel like I'm starting over. I do not feel like I'm back at square one. This beautiful thing that was in my life is no longer in it. And it sucks and it's painful. But that does not take away from who I am and what I've built. And I don't feel that I have to rebuild. I really don't. Yeah, I have to move out of my apartment. Yeah, I, don't have someone to say goodnight and good morning to me anymore. But like, when you do what I always preach, when you build a foundation that is as solid as I feel that mine is, it just doesn't feel like my world is ending. And that's no shade on him and what he brought to my life. He was amazing, but he was a supplement, and that's what a relationship should be. So yes, starting over is scary. But you know what's scarier? Waking up 10, 20 years down the road, miserable, realizing that you should have ended it when you felt like you had to, when you felt like you should, and you had a lot less to lose. He meant the world to me, but he was not my whole world. I have my own, and it is still turning. I didn't lose myself in the relationship. I kept to my routines. I kept prioritizing my friends. I prioritized my career. I had time alone, but I still poured everything into it. I still gave him all the effort I could. We had quality time. We had such amazing love, but we found a way to be really interdependent. This feels nothing like my Hawaii breakup or my Washington breakup or my breakup with the old man. It doesn't. There's nothing that I need to get back to. I am not crawling out of the ashes. I am walking out of a chapter that I outgrew with love and with clarity and with both feet planted firmly in who the fuck I am. So the lemonade that I hope you guys take from my lemons is to never lose yourself in a relationship. Because I can't imagine where I would be if I had. I imagine it would be somewhat like the Hawaii and Washington breakup. Also, I don't know why everyone is a state in my life. Just realized that. But this would have been 10 times worse because we were together for 2 fucking years. We lived together. I was looking at engagement rings. They had my size. Yet I am doing okay. You need to be so secure in yourself that losing someone does not feel like losing everything. Because you can feel solid. I felt solid. You can be planning your future, trying on the engagement rings, talking about marriage. And the next day you could be dividing up your book collection and saying who's going to keep what piece of furniture. That level of uncertainty that existed these last 2 months said everything. The person you end up with should be so sure of you. They should want to run through walls for you, and you should never settle for anything less or shrink yourself to be any less to make them a little bit more comfortable. I knew my worth, and I was not willing to sacrifice it. Because your self-worth is a currency that should not be negotiated, shouldn't be gambled with. That is the one thing that is true to you, and if you know it, at the end of the day, sometimes it's all that you have. And it can make you as unbreakable and unshakable as I'm trying to be right now. You never know when something that you thought was permanent will end. Because everything is temporary. I'm sorry, that's morbid, but it's true. Life is temporary. We all die. You have to go with your gut. You have to listen to your instincts. I actually heard somewhere the other day that the act of overthinking is when you're going against your intuition. And if you go with your gut, you will see clearly and you will feel fine about it. And there will be no spiral, no overthinking. I was spiraling for the last 2 months. That's how I knew I was not going with my gut. There was some self-abandonment in staying in the relationship just over the last 2 months. I didn't abandon otherwise. But I even encouraged him to listen to his gut. When he said there was a gut feeling when he was looking at the engagement rings, I said, I feel like you should listen to that. And not because I wanted him to leave me, but because I care about him deeply. I want him to be happy. And if that's not with me, that's okay. Because what kind of a partner would I be if I wanted him to stay with me even though he was unhappy? Or if he had to suppress what he wanted in life just because he loved me and didn't want to hurt me. And that is no way to live your life. And I care about him way too much to want that for him. This was the saddest breakup ever, because we both just cared about each other and we both just wanted the best for each other. Like, I literally was looking my boyfriend in the eyes, telling him to break up with me because I knew that's what he should do. But I shit you not, also, little fun facts to lighten the mood a little bit. The universe was giving me the craziest signs to break up. First one, on October 10th, I got a DM from a random person. And it said, "Hi, Emma, I love too much. I started following from the beginning after Unhinged disappeared. I always preferred you on that, and I wasn't fond of..." Never mind, I won't get into that. But anyways, so she goes on to say, "I've always had this feeling November is going to be a really good month for you and will bring you some type of justice. It just popped into my head again as it's getting closer now. I definitely think a positive shift, something really good or a breakthrough is coming. Anytime I see something of yours, I think November. Even if it's the start of something behind the scenes and then creates a domino effect, karma has a very interesting way of balancing out." So when she sent this, I thought nothing of it. And I was kind of just like, oh, whatever. That was like really sweet. And I said like, oh, it'd be great. I could use some excitement in my life. As Mr. Then, right then, and I were going through all of this, our lease was ending and we had to let our building know by October 31st. So as we're going back and forth, to add another layer of stress onto it, I was like, we got to figure this out before the end of the month because we can't re-sign a year feeling this way. And sure as shit, we said we were going to work on it and we were going to fight. And on November 1st, we officially broke up. Weird. And then it gets even weirder. October 10th happens to be the day I wanted to get married next year. 10/10/26. It's a Saturday. I wanted that to be my wedding day. So that's crazy shit, number one. Number two, this is something that I've done a few times. I like to ask the universe for signs. And this is a very woo-woo thing of me and very unlike me, but I did it once before and it worked. And when I was going through all this internal debate, I looked up into the sky and I said, universe, please give me a sign. And obviously I was like a stay or go conundrum. So I said, if we are meant to break up and this is over, give me a monarch butterfly. If we should keep trying, give me a sea turtle. Like, they're two very bizarre things, whatever. I don't see shit. And that was probably like around the time of this DM, like maybe early October. We ended up going down to Florida to see his parents. And when we went to go pick up dinner, I saw a statue of a sea turtle. But in the back of my mind, I was also like, no, I'm just in Florida. I set myself up for that one. So you clearly could tell where my head was at. We ended up breaking up later that night. But then we got back together the next day. So we were still trying. So the universe wasn't wrong. Fast forward to November 2nd, the day after the official breakup. I went to the New York City Marathon, was, drinking in the street, as one does. And this group of girls starts walking towards me, all with a monarch butterfly on their baseball hats. Like right here, big monarch butterfly. And I was like, weird. And as I turned to tell my friend how weird that was and like tell her about the signs that I'd asked for, she spoke the word sign. Like, as I turned to her to tell her about these signs, she said sign. It was in a sentence and it was in context because I think she was talking about like the marathon signs. But that intersection of time, that was fucking crazy. So then I really freaked out. I was like, oh my God. And then last but not least, I obviously had to go find a new apartment. And yesterday I went to an appointment. I thought it was at 11:30. I got there at 11:26. The guy was like, your appointment was at 11. And I was like, and I almost started crying because I'm just obviously a little wound up at the moment. And he was like, go up to the leasing office, see if they can take you. So I go up. The woman at the front desk is like, we don't have any availabilities. They're booked up. She was like, but have a seat. Let's see. Maybe someone will cancel. At 11:32, This girl comes out, this angel girl, Catherine, love you, and says, oh my God, my 11:30 just canceled. And I was like, please tell me this is fate. So she goes, let me show you these apartments. I have a bunch of studios. Also sucks going from a 2-bedroom, 2-bath to a studio, but that's neither here nor there. And so she brings me to go to these apartments and she was like, this first one's really great. It's not even listed yet. It came on the market last night at 9 p.m. We opened the door and I said, I want it. Overwhelmingly, I want this apartment. And I was like, are there any other applications in? She said, you're the first person to view it. Come on. So I'm feeling a little bit better thanks to the universe and my woo-woo. So where to now? I've obviously signed a new lease. I'm moving in next Saturday on the 15th. Very exciting. But as far as my dating life, I don't think I even want to be in another relationship for a very long time. And this is not one of those things where I'm like, oh, I just want to focus on myself. I've been focusing on myself. I have not stopped doing that. I've also been focusing on someone else. I've split my focus. But this is like what I've said before. In a healthy relationship, you should never have to decide between focusing on yourself or dating someone. You should be with someone where it's not mutually exclusive. Both can happen at the exact same time and you're both working towards your goals together. And that is what we were doing. So I don't feel like this is a departure from that, but I feel like I'm on a fucking rocket ship right now. And I feel like my career is about to take off. I know it's about to take off because I'm going to make it. And I don't want to have to factor in anyone else in any decision I make going forward. I want to be selfish right now. I feel like this is where I started when Mr. Right then and I started dating. And I've been like this ever since. But I'm here. And there's a bit more of the incline to go. This is not the time to be getting into a relationship. I don't want to. Will I date? Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is me time. And I think subconsciously, if I'm being extremely honest with you and myself, when too much started taking off, there was a little part of me that was like, am I holding myself back by not being out there and meeting people and networking and going to the things and all the events and brand trips, which I said no to one of them because of our 2-year. But I didn't want to admit that because I am 31 and I should be getting married right now. And I have a great guy and he's amazing and he wants to marry me. So that's not the route I should go. I should stick with this. But there was a little part of me that thought, maybe I'm not done yet. And even saying this and saying I'm going to now take off in my career and I'm going to, do all this, it does make me realize that in that sense, perhaps I was holding back a bit, which I don't think should be happening in any relationship, especially one that's you're planning on being a lifetime. Doors are now just opening for me that were never even in my peripheral before. And I really can't imagine being on the sidelines to someone like that when those rooms are ones you never even wanted to step foot in. This was the right decision for us. I can confidently say that. He doesn't want this, and I don't want to be held back. And that's fine. That's okay. So I am not going to let this relationship die in vain because I never forgot who the fuck I was. And she is so ready to fly now. I'm going to put my all into myself and my career, and someone can meet me where I'm at, maybe, in time. I'm in no rush. Truly. I feel very good about it now. This was extremely hard 2 months ago. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of tears have been shed. But where I am now, I feel good. And I hope he does too. And I'm so grateful for the 2 years that we had. I'm not sorry that the breakup happened because I think it is meant to be. I hope he finds someone who is exactly what he needs for where he is in his life right now. I wish him all the best in the world. I wish his family the best. Like I want nothing but good things for them. And like I said, please no hate towards him. Please no DMing him, no comments against him. Like it really boiled down to incompatibility. One that we didn't see or were ignoring before. If we stayed together, we would have been delaying the inevitable. And there is someone out there who is right for me. I will not call him Mr. Right because that can't be reused. But you know, I said this once before. I think everyone has one soulmate in their life, but I don't think you have to marry that soulmate. And I still believe he was my soulmate. I loved him with everything in me. We had such an amazing 2 years. And like I said, no love lost. It's just time for the next chapter. So this is not a breakup story. I am not going to make this break up my whole personality, but you can bet your ass you're going to have a lot of new Emma stories coming your way and a lot of dating sagas. And to the men, no, I will not talk about you unless you fuck up or unless you're really great. But still, everyone goes unnamed. I don't know. We'll see. This is uncharted territory now because I don't think I've ever had a podcast single. When I started Unhinged, I met the old man 1 month in, not even 2 weeks in. And then I met Mr. Right then 3 months in. So I've never had a microphone in front of my face when I was single. So you guys better watch the fuck out. Just kidding. I'm not going to be crazy. So this is a reminder that you can love someone. You can be grateful for the time that you've shared and still choose yourself when the path stops matching the vision. Love you all. Thanks so much for tuning in. You know where to find me. Emma's Too Much everywhere. Also go follow me on Life of Emma page too, because it's going to be a lot of content there. I'm going to Miami this weekend. I'm going to have a blast. Lots of thirst traps are about to be posted. So go give a girl a like and a comment. See you next week.